Alright, so let's go to the backend and create this endpoint. Upload image. So let me just close this one, go to server, routes. We can still work on the auth route. So here, router.post, we make a post request to upload image. So this route will be accessible for the logged in user only. Require sign in. Okay, actually we don't have that middleware. So what we need is we need to protect certain routes for logged in user only, right? For example, the upload image, this route should be accessible only for the logged in user. So we need to implement some kind of middleware that will check if we have the valid user. Only then we will allow access to do certain things for the user. All right, so we will create this middleware, and then we will create a controller function to handle this one. Upload image. So let me just write this here. Okay, and let me go to the controller. At the moment, if you go, you'll get an error, but don't worry, we'll come back to that soon. So from controller, we are importing that one. So let's go to this controller and write that function. Export const upload image equals to async request response. For the moment, let me just write console log upload image. Alright, so let me just write that for now. Before we see this console log, we need to handle the middleware, right? So we need to create this middleware that will check for the user's token. Now, if you remember, here in the client side, when user logs in, we get the user response and the token, and we have put that in the state, right? So that token we need to send in the using Axios. We need to send that in the headers using Axios, and here in this function we have to try to validate that URL, validate that token. Only if the token is valid, which means the token must be issued by our own backend. You can see here, if you go to the env file, each token when we generate, we have this secret. So this will be complex random text that no one can guess. So that secret will be used to validate the token and also the expiry, which is here in the controller. Let me just take you up. When we sign up, when we generate a token, you see we generate a token. This token has the user's ID, and the secret has been used. Now this secret will be used to decode the token, to verify the token, right? And then during that process, we will also check for the expiry date. If the token has expired, then also token will not be valid. If the secret doesn't match, also the token will not be valid. All right, so but if it is good, if the secret is same, then only then the token is valid. That means we can be sure that this is the logged in user, and we can allow him to upload the image. Okay, so this requires sign in middleware, we can put that here. You could create a different folder like controller for the middlewares, but we will not have many middlewares, maybe just one or two. So let me just put all inside the auth controller. All right, so require sign in. Now let's write that also in the control, and since this is a unique middleware, let me just put it in the very top. Okay, so here middleware export const require sign in equals to. So here what we're going to do is we're going to actually use a npm library to decode, to verify the token. All right, so I think we have already installed that one. Let me just double check. That one is called expressjwt. So if you don't have it installed, make sure you install. All right, so this will be used to verify the token. So let me just import that here. Import expressjwt equals to require expressjwt. Sorry, that should be const. Perfect. Now we can use this function. So instead of that, we just use this expressjwt. Now to this expressjwt we have to give some argument here as an object here. So we have to give the secret, okay, and then we have to give the algorithm. Okay, so let me actually take you to the official documentation just so that you know what's going on. Expressjwt npm. All right, so we import that, and then you can see to verify we can give the secret and then the algorithms. All right, so let me just copy that, paste here. So the secret, so that's the algorithm. Secret is the one we have in the env file, so we can access that using process.env.jwt secret. Beautiful. All right, so this will verify the token. It will check for the secret, it will check for the expiry. If everything is good, then not only it will verify, it will actually give us the data that was used while generating the token. Okay, this is an important concept. Let me quickly show you. What we get is, if the token is valid, that will give us this user's ID, because you can see here when we generate the token, the user's ID was used, right, along with the expiry date and the secret. So this ID we can access. So this middleware, when we apply, you need to make sure to apply this middleware in your route if you want to access that ID in your controller function. Make sure to apply it as a middleware. So now that we have applied that, we can access that user's ID in this function. So let me go here. We can access that user ID by accessing request.user._id. Okay, now we will use this a lot of time, so just be clear. This user object is added to the request object. You can see here request and response. So this user object has been added by this require signin middleware by default. Okay, so don't get confused later where this user ID is coming from. This is coming from this middleware. If the token is valid, it will automatically add this user property in the request, and whatever data you had used when generating the token, that will be available here. In our case, we just use the ID. You can see we just use the ID to generate the token here during sign-in. So that ID we can access that here by using request.user.id. So this is super helpful. Whenever you want to protect some route, you apply this middleware, access the user's ID in your controller function, and then you know which user is trying to do certain things. For example, this uploading image, you can save this image in the database. Now if you didn't have this middleware, you wouldn't know this image which user is trying to upload, right? But now that we have that middleware, we know which user is trying to upload this image, so we can find this user based on the ID from the database and do a lot of things. Perfect. So everything should work. We should see this console log as well. If okay, if we can send the token in the post request, okay, to this endpoint. So you go back to your front end, go to screens, account. So we have tried to make a post request to this endpoint. So not only that we need to send this as a second argument, we also need to send the token. Okay, now in the following lecture I will show you how you can easily configure Axios globally, so that you don't have to keep adding the token in the headers each and every time. But just to show you for the very first time, I will show you how you can send the token manually on each request